A Friendly Dog Named Sam. Story by u/chef_fuzzy. Hello, I've never ever told this story to anyone, but I've kept it in my mind since happening in 1998. I just want to preface by saying that I've never held a belief in ghost, afterlife, or anything of that sort, either past or present. Even this event is not enough to make me believe ghosts are real. However, I do not have any material explanation for the event. It was mid-August 1998, and I was 22 years old and working a summer job at a gas station before heading back to school. I had started college late as I fumbled about for a year or two after high school. Anyways, on a nice warm summer night, cars would come and go, as we had a full-service pump and I'd walked out of my little storefront for every car and pumped their gas. The weather was perfect, not too hot, when normally it would be blisteringly hot that time of the year. Around the side of the building were the entrances to the bathrooms, and I headed that way to use the restroom, when I saw two hippie-looking teens with a dog, a boy and a girl. I grew up listening to bands like the Grateful Dead and Fish, and I still do. And while I don't present as a hippie, I feel very comfortable in those circles. I could tell these kids had probably been hitchhiking. They didn't look destitute, but they were dirty and probably a bit hungry. And even though I was probably no more than 5 years older than them, I felt bad and I wanted to help. I put a few bucks in the vending machine, bought them some snacks and drinks, and gave the dog a bowl of water. They were very thankful, and the dog was very friendly. We chatted for a minute when the boy said, "The dog's not ours. He was just hanging out here. He was friendly, so we just started playing and patting him." That was strange, of course, but not too crazy, right? Dogs get lost all the time. He was friendly and didn't look mistreated, so I just assumed that he had gotten lost. Oh, and he had a collar and a tag. Cool, I can find his owner. Oh, and his name is Sam. It's important to note that he would respond to me calling his name Sam. A car pulled up to the full-service pump, so I ran out and did my thing. Last I looked, the hippies and Sam were still hanging out at this time, sorta off to the side of the store, near where I first saw them. I finished up the car and turned around to head back to the storefront. No more people anywhere in sight. Nowhere, just gone. Perhaps they hitched a ride while I was turned around, but it was only a minute. When I walked out to the street, I could see quite a ways in both directions, and they were nowhere to be seen. This is the last that I saw of the two kids, and I do hope that they're okay. Sam was still there, but it was getting late, and I wanted to help. I decided to call the local police, who gave me the phone number of the animal shelter. I called over there, and the way that it was handled seemed very odd at that time, and still does, but I wanted to help, so I went along with it. Sam was a good boy after all, and the person that I spoke with at Animal Control looked up Sam's info based on the dog tag number. This person, instead of saying, "Hold on, we will send out an officer or even just call the owner," but instead, they gave me Sam's owner's phone number and told me to call. I called the number, and an older man politely answered the phone, and I explained that I had Sam, and I gave him water, and that he was just hanging out with me here, but the gas station is closing soon, so it would be best for him to come pick up Sam. He seemed perplexed and asked me to describe Sam to him. So I did. Sam looked like a mutt/lab mix, darkish brown coat, medium to large sized dog, very friendly disposition, just a regular old good boy. But what the man said next has been rattling around my brain for the last 24 years. The man said, "We had a dog named Sam, but he passed away a good 10 years ago." I was dumbfounded, and all I could do was describe Sam again, to which the man said that, yeah, that sounds like Sam, but no way could it be. It just can't be. He was polite, and we talked back and forth for a bit more, but with no resolution, we hung up. I wasn't sure about what to do next, but I quickly realized that there was nothing for me to do. Because just like the hippie kids, Sam too was now nowhere to be seen. He just vanished. And my thoughts for this are, I would give anything to have this make sense, to be able to actually resolve this in a way that makes sense. But I have never been able to. I have lots and lots of thoughts and theories about this, but the post is already very long, and I'll end it here. If anyone has any thoughts about this, please leave it in the comment section. I would like to know. And thank you so much for listening. A gardening label changed by u/careless hellscape. I know this is a really insignificant thing to be concerned about, but I know it happened, and it's irritating. I was planting some spring herbs last week, and to keep track of which pot held seeds, I typed up some labels to print and then taped it on the pots. The first round of labels I made from memory, not from checking and counting all the different seeds that I planted. I printed like 6 labels, and noticed when I was taping them to the pots that I forgot oregano. It wasn't a big deal because I planned to plant more herbs the next day, and I would just make a label for oregano in the second batch. So, after I planted the following day, I made a few more labels, including that one that I was missing. This time, I went over what I needed one pot at a time, double checking so that I wouldn't forget anything. Everything was fine until a couple of days ago, when I was watering and I noticed that 2 different pots had basil labels, the original basil pot and the one that was supposed to be oregano. Everybody makes mistakes, sure, but I'm not an idiot. The first freaking label that I made the second day was for oregano. It said oregano when I taped it on the pot. I had no reason to type and print basil again, and I didn't. I didn't save and reopen the first label page, so the old label couldn't have been just the same included by mistake. It was a brand new draft. I didn't save either of them. My wife and kids would not have changed the labels around to mess with me, and I can't imagine what they would get out of it. I don't know how this happened. When I finished taping labels onto pots the second day, I spent a lot of time rearranging and making sure everything looked the way that I wanted it to. And for sure, I would have noticed if I had 2 pots with the same label. Claw clip randomly spawned in by u/playboyvans. Every time there's a post in this sub, I tend to rationalize it as much as I can because some things are explainable. However, the other night I was freaked out. For background info, I have a clear backpack because of gun threats in my area, so this is how our school takes precautions. There's a claw clip that I wear everywhere, and it's my favorite one, and I always put it in 4 places if I'm not wearing it. My purse, my front backpack pocket, my nightstand, or my downstairs bathroom. The other day after school, which was a Friday, I took it off and put it in my front pocket of my backpack, and I know this for a fact because I had taken a picture of my claw clip and sent it to my boyfriend and mentioned how one of the pieces had broken. I came home that Friday and like usual, it was only me. Fast forward to Saturday morning, I was getting ready to go to work and I couldn't find it for the life of me. It had basically disappeared. I checked my backpack and I emptied it completely out to where nothing was in it anymore, but I couldn't find my clip. I left it and just decided that I'd look for it later, and maybe didn't leave it where I thought I did. I came back home that night after work, and again, it was only me that had been going in and out of the house, and probably 2 days since my mom and brother are both away at this time. I got ready for bed, got a quick snack, and used my phone flashlight to guide me. And as I'm exiting my kitchen through our dining room, my phone shines off of something. I got to look at it, and there it is, my claw clip, and it's the only thing sitting in my backpack. Again, my backpack is clear and small, so if I had missed, I would have noticed it, especially in broad daylight. Needless to say, I was freaked out because I had checked thoroughly and it wasn't there. But then it was. I even asked my mom or brother if they had came home and didn't tell me. I even checked the house cameras. But nobody had been in the house besides me. This was super weird. I understand that a claw clip going missing isn't a huge deal, but it's the fact that I completely ransacked my backpack and saw nothing was in it, and then it magically appears. Nobody had placed it there, and I never saw it there when I checked. Disappearing Bamboo Shoots. Story by u/Kalina143. This happened a few months ago, and it still bothers me. I bought a jar of bamboo shoots and sesame oil because I was making Korean food and wanted to have it as a side dish. My family and I had dinner that night, and we had the jar on the table, and I remember putting it away in the fridge when I was cleaning up. The next day I went to heat up some leftovers, and when I looked in the fridge to get the bamboo shoots, I couldn't find them. We have 2 fridges in the house, so I went to look in the other fridge, thinking that I might have put them away there by accident, or someone may have moved them. When I couldn't find them there, I started feeling weird because I was sure that I put them away in the fridge. I brushed it off thinking that I might have absent-mindedly put them somewhere else, or someone else might have moved them. So later that night, I asked my family if they had moved them or seen them, and they all denied it. I started looking for them in all places that I thought it could be: pantry, kitchen, drawers, cupboards, and etc. But they were nowhere to be found. At this point, I thought they were playing a prank on me, but everyone denied it, and they seemed sincere. We don't really play pranks on each other, so it would be out of character. It became a mission for us all to find this damn jar, and we took everything out of the fridge multiple times, looked in even the most bizarre places, the garage, the entire house. Every member of the family spent over an hour looking for them. And in the end, we decided that I had absent-mindedly placed them somewhere, and eventually we'll find them in a bizarre place. I felt like I was losing my mind because this jar seemed to have disappeared from existence. A few weeks later, we had all forgotten about the incident, and I opened the fridge, and the jar of bamboo shoots is sitting in plain view in the exact place that I put them. They hadn't gone bad, and they hadn't been touched. It looked exactly like I remembered them looking when I put them away. Everyone was perplexed, and we kept them in the fridge for a few more days until I decided to throw them away because I was definitely not going to eat them. I saw myself across a parking lot. By U/due time 8151. Every Saturday, I take my son to swimming lessons, and every week, it's a cluster getting there because this place is packed and chaotic. Every week, no matter how early I get there, finding parking is nearly impossible. Last Saturday, my parents offered to drop us off and then pick us up since parking is so scarce and they had a few errands to run in the area. I happily accepted their offer. They pulled us right up to the entrance, and I hopped out in the back with my son's bag, went around to grab him from his car seat, and we were on our way. This Saturday, I was back on my own and happened to find a parking spot adjacent to the front entrance. I parked, grabbed my purse, and got out to get my son from the rear passenger side. On my way to the other side of the car, I saw my parents' car in the loading zone in front of the building. I was instantly confused, but before my mind could register anything further, the back door opens, and it's me. Except, it's me last week. Same clothes and jacket that I had on then. I got out with my son's bag and then headed to the other side of the car. At that moment, a large van drove by, and when it passed, my parents' car was totally gone, and so was I. This all unfolded in no more than 5 seconds. However, I was so flustered and upset that I got back in the car with my son and sat in the back seat with him for 20 minutes until I could compose myself. We missed the swimming lessons and instead sat in the car and ate snacks and listened to music. I don't drink, do drugs, or take any medication. I wasn't overly tired or upset or distracted that morning, but I know what I saw, and I am absolutely freaked out. This wasn't a doppelganger. This was me last week. My husband has been treating me like I'm near a nervous breakdown since I've told him what happened, and keeps asking me in different ways if I'm okay. I'm totally fine. I came home today to my husband and my family all waiting for me intervention style. I now understand why people keep these things to themselves. They all think that I'm exhausted and that I just need time to rest. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been messed up by a trash bag. Story by U/on the next Murray. I've been thinking about this for a month and decided against posting it because I thought it sounded inane, but it's upended my view of reality. I moved recently, and in my old house, there were a lot of items left by the previous tenant, who happened to be a friend, so they left me many items that I needed, as it was easier for both of us, but many unneeded items as well. I was standing in the bathroom with a trash bag at my feet that was slightly behind me, so I was taking items from the sink counter, then turning around and dropping them into the trash bag. This is important because I literally could not have left the room, and I was not moving my feet. At one point, I turn back and the trash bag is gone, along with everything in it. I check the counter, drawers, floors, and etc., and there is no sign of any of the items that I threw away. I needed to be out of the house that day, and the entire time I moved, I looked for this bag. My roommate came later and I begged them to believe me. It was the only trash bag that I had of that color in the house, as it had come from my work and not the roll that I had at home. Additionally, there was no curbside pickup at that location, so I had to drive all of our trash to the dump myself. I emptied the entire house and even steam cleaned the carpets. And for the love of God, where is that bag? Spotlight from 30,000 Feet by U/Map Editor Master. I live in an isolated small town in Illinois. Me and my old friend used to throw around this LED frisbee during the summers. The light is in the center of the frisbee with a small battery. It's well balanced and made durable. And if the battery is low or moved out of place, the light can go on and off just like a flashlight. And this particular summer, the battery was at half and it was visibly noticeable for long-time users, just like my friend and I. It was still pretty bright and defiantly usable at night. So, as usual, past 8 p.m., we head to the empty four-way down the road. The way we would position ourselves is both of us on the same street with a crossroad between us, very far apart from each other. I was slightly under some trees, and my friend was in the open pretty much. It's just before dark, so you can still see everything, but very dim lighting. Now, the road we played on so happened to line up with an airliner flight path. I watched the stars, so I know many flight paths above my area, small or big, and this was a flight path for bigger planes. Not the massive jets, but you can clearly see that they are commercial airlines. So, this one night, as we were tossing the LED frisbee around, the exact moment an airplane was over us at least 30,000 feet, a gigantic circular light surrounded me and my friend for about 1 full second. Now, this light didn't move, fade in, go across the ground, swipe, or any movement. It literally was a still full circle of very bright light directly on us. I missed the frisbee catch and instantly jumped into the ditch without even thinking. My friend paused on the road and in a very scared voice asked if I had just seen the beam of light. We met in the middle of the four-way, puzzled at what we just seen. We checked the time and date and joked about being abducted or something. We checked the frisbee to see if the light went bright for a second, as though something minor happened with the battery inside. In the end, we both agreed that there was no way light from the plane could have reached us, as though maybe the headlights had just turned over and hit us for a moment. That was later researched and found to be highly unlikely, if not impossible. The light was not from the frisbee because what we seen was far bright and large. This event has widely contributed to my casadastrophobia, which is often triggered by seeing planes fly on that path. It was one thing or the other that glitched. We still don't know. Anyone could just say that the light glitched from the frisbee or plane, or somehow it was one of them. I have this small anecdote from a couple of years ago that bugs me whenever I think about it. So, my girlfriend and I were alone in my house, not doing anything particularly interesting. It was kind of a lazy day, and we were just having a conversation. I was standing next to my bed, and she was sitting on the edge of it, and we were talking at a distance at about half a meter, looking each other in the eyes. Then, when I was talking, all of a sudden everything went black for a minuscule fraction of a second. It didn't interrupt me, there was no sound or noise, and I didn't feel physically anything. But I saw a black flash. Complete darkness, as if someone had held a sheet of black cardboard right in my face for a nanosecond. I completed my sentence, but I didn't let her reply, and I immediately asked her, "Did you see that too? Did everything go black for an instant?" And she said yes, that she saw the exact same thing, but didn't say anything because she didn't want to interrupt me. I told her that when it happened, I didn't react because I thought I may have blinked involuntarily. But I asked because I didn't feel like I had blinked. And she told me that she wanted to ask me the same because she was thinking the same thing. We also agreed that it was impossible that it was something with the lighting because, well, it was in the middle of the day, and even though we were indoors, there's plenty of windows from the daylight to come into. But anyway, even if a huge object flew over my house, silently at an absurd speed, we are talking about pitch black darkness, and it was only for an instant. We agreed on how weird it was, but after a while of being confused, and neither of us being able to come up with an explanation or find anything online, we gave up and moved on. But as I said, it bugs me to this day. I know it's not much, but the lack of an explanation drives me a bit crazy. And I know it wasn't something internal, like a tiny aneurysm or something, because I wasn't the only one that experienced it. What are your thoughts about this? Maybe the system went down for maintenance or something? A tiny hiccup with a graphics processor. Hello everyone, it's your creepy sister here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate each and every one of you. But I would also like to thank my amazing patrons, my top tippers, and my dearest channel members. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it with all of my heart. If you want to support the channel further, you could also choose to become a patron, a tipper, or a channel member. But remember, it's appreciated, but never a requirement. I would also like to announce that we have merch now. The link is in the description of the video, along with all my other social media links, like my Discord server, Twitter, Instagram, and others. You can connect with me and send your stories there. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and comments are highly appreciated. And remember, your fear feeds me.